Hello and welcome to this edition of The New Normal. And the new normal in Paris and in other large cities here in France is wearing a face mask at all times. It has become mandatory. There are exceptions, of course, if you are jogging, riding a bicycle, sitting at a cafe or restaurant terrace, or smoking. At school as well, masks have become compulsory all day for everyone above the age of 11, something, of course, pupils and teachers will have to get used to. Here is the reaction of some parents in Paris.
Même pour les enfants, il faut essayer d'aborder la rentrée de manière sereine. Enfin, voilà, donc bon, écoutez, on verra. On fait confiance à l'organisation au niveau de l'école et puis on verra au fil de l'eau.
Les enfants ne sont pas inquiets, moi non plus, mais on pense que ça va être mouvementé, ça va changer avec le temps.
Je pense que tout va bien se passer, hein. Il faut pas angoisser non plus parce que sinon on le transmet aux enfants. Donc pour l'instant, on attend de voir, hein.
We stay in the school system, but this time in Mexico. The country has been hit extremely hard by the coronavirus pandemic. Over 65,000 people have been killed by COVID-19. Of course, schools have been impacted. Most of all, it is private schools. 40% of them might have to close for lack of funds, forcing parents to place their children into the underfunded public system. It's a report by Mario Carbonell for France 24 Spanish.
Erika Terran has managed this daycare center for 21 years, but today the small business is on the verge of collapse. Because of the coronavirus pandemic, many Mexican families have been propelled into poverty. 80% of the families whose children attend this daycare are no longer able to pay the annual fee.
Esta situación de la pandemia vino a afectarnos, se podría decir, a un 100%. Estamos tomando la decisión de probablemente cerrar para el próximo mes por la falta de niños.
In Mexico, there are around 40,000 private education structures, from daycare to high school. Some 15,000 of them are currently in a dire financial situation and could soon close.
Los estudiantes que se están saliendo, que en términos generales va a ser alrededor de más de 1,5 millones de estudiantes que han estado desertando de las escuelas particulares, se están yendo a las escuelas oficiales.
Authorities say they will be able to handle the massive influx of students.
Esa migración que se dé de escuelas privadas de forma natural por la condición económica en México. Tenemos 200,000 escuelas en básica en el país y 1,200,000 maestros, de manera que están preparados para recibir esta migración.
Many parents, though, remain skeptical. Mariana is worried she won't be able to find an alternative solution if her daughter's daycare were to close.
Mi hija come, desayuna aquí todos los días, de lunes a viernes. Y el que lo cierren me afecta demasiado porque yo trabajo. Trabajo y yo no tengo el tiempo para poder estar con ella en las tardes.
The situation is also very worrying for private school teachers. Some 200,000 of them could lose their job nationwide.
In Lebanon, schools aren't expected to reopen before mid-September at best. The sanitary crisis and the huge explosion that's destroyed parts of Beirut are to blame. They've made things very complicated. The people in Beirut, though, are concentrating on fixing their homes. Zeina Antonios, our correspondent in the Lebanese capital, has followed an NGO that helps them.
Muriel Chikani lost everything in the Beirut port explosion. Widowed several years ago, she lives in this apartment in Ashrafia with her children and mother-in-law. Today, the NGO Windows for Beirut is visiting her. They've partnered with the French organization Emergency Architects to replace windows and doors destroyed in the blast. Next in line are Muriel's.
ومثل ما شفتوا اخترب البيت كله. كنت بجبال عند أهلي ومنيح إنه كنت هونيك لأنه كان أكيد حدا منا تأذى يعني.
Muriel's apartment is currently uninhabitable. For Laura Mouton, president of Windows for Beirut, the priority is to complete the most urgent repairs before the first rains of autumn arrive.
Je me suis dit il faut trouver un moyen de faire rentrer les gens chez eux le plus rapidement possible, ceux dont les maisons ne sont pas complètement entamées, c'est-à-dire qui n'ont pas de problème, de problèmes de structure, où principalement les problèmes sont liés à la menuiserie de façade, c'est-à-dire les fenêtres, les portes, et pour sécuriser, imperméabiliser, etc., afin de faire en sorte à ce qu'un maximum de gens puissent rentrer chez eux avant l'hiver.
Wounded in the leg by the explosion, Laura is now replacing her windows thanks to Windows for Beirut. But the rest of the work that's needed to make her home livable again could prove very expensive.
على ليفل الشبابيك والألومنيوم كل بيت بدك تعتبري راحوا شبابيكه والبواب. هيدا بالنسبة للألومنيوم. بالنسبة للبيتون بتعرفي هلا كله على $1. كمان بدك ترجعي تعملي estimation.
The charity hopes to help some 2,500 Beirut homes affected by the disaster. They estimate they'll need at least €1.5 million to make these destroyed homes livable again.
In Mali, a coup d'etat has forced President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta to resign at the end of August. A move that comes after months of protests on the streets of Bamako, the capital. Protests organized by one man, Imam Mahmoud Diko. Our reporters Nadia Marcy, Alexandra Renard, and Mohamed Farhat have been and met him.
The movement that toppled Mali's president wasn't led by a politician but an imam. Mahmoud Diko, once a student of Salafism in Saudi Arabia, now the de facto head of Mali's protest movement. He's popular and charismatic, always drawing a large crowd. But despite the wishes of many, he insists he's not a president in waiting. So what is it he wants for Mali? We caught up with him after Friday prayers at this mosque.
Il faut nécessairement que ce processus de changement qui est enclenché soit maintenu. C'est une dynamique, nous serons là pour prier, pour donner des conseils s'il le faut. Les militaires sont nos enfants, ce n'est pas des extraterrestres, ce sont nos enfants à nous. Pourquoi ne pas avoir confiance à eux? Pourquoi? Mais avoir confiance à eux ne veut pas dire qu'on va leur libérer le pays pour en faire ce qu'ils veulent. Moi, ce que je sais faire le mieux, c'est ce que vous avez vu, c'est faire prier les gens. C'est ma vocation et je resterai imam, Inch'Allah. Je n'ai aucune ambition d'être président de la République.
Diko's message is being heard not just in the mosque, but across Mali. Here, thousands of people have gathered to hear the man they call the People's Imam.
L'imam Diko est connu de tout le peuple malien. Et chaque fois qu'il se lève, ce n'est pas pour des intérêts partisans, mais c'est pour le Mali. Donc aujourd'hui, cette popularité s'est construite autour d'un idéal que les Maliens lui reconnaissent.
During the protests, Malians voted with their feet for a new kind of politics. And in this deeply religious country, they have put their faith in Diko, a man for whom politics and religion go hand in hand. For people here, he is their moral authority. And so whoever Mali's next president is, they will want to be sure they keep Diko firmly on side.
And now to Tunisia, where the pandemic has had a huge impact on tourism, causing massive economic damage. Our correspondent there, Lilia Blaise, has followed a group of volunteers. They want to promote a new type of ecotourism by saving rare turtles, making sure that their babies make it to the sea.
In order to see them, one must be patient. Finally, the first baby turtles stick their noses out into night. The endangered reptiles are amongst the species followed by conservation group Notre Grand Bleu. It's working with the Coastal Protection Agency to maintain the biodiversity of the Kuriat Islands.
Donc نقوموا بحماية العش. Donc كما تشوفوا توا لهنا. Donc il faut orienter directement vers la mer. Donc pour éviter معناتها الصغار اللي يمشيوا يرجعوا directement معناتها الفيجيتاسيون et tout ça.
Vegetation isn't their only obstacle.
ساعات يجوا العباد لما يراو السلحفاة فاكرون صغير يقول لك يا هذه ما أحلاها من يحب يهزها يروح بها الدار. alors qu'il est espèce protégée.
These sea turtles are caretta or loggerheads. Between pollution in the Mediterranean and abandoned fishing nests, only 1 out of 1,000 survive long enough to reproduce. By morning, some hatchlings still have not emerged. Conservationists opened up the nests to help the vulnerable babies make it to the water in time. Earlier this year, lobbying by Notre Grand Bleu helped bring about a ban on intensive hunting of sea turtles.
أول قانون لامركزي في الجمهورية التونسية اللي يعطي خطية مالية قدرها 1000 دينار لكل من يتم ضبطه في نقل أو حجز أو بيع.
Tourists who get a day pass to visit the islands are encouraged to attend a presentation about the turtles.
Combien d'espèces de tortues marines? C'était quoi la question? Marine.
This visiting French-Tunisian couple say they're very excited to experience the island's natural beauty while also learning about the environment.
L'écotourisme, en fait, c'est quelque chose qui est très important, je pense, puisqu'en fait, simplement, on va souvent aller vers le tourisme de masse, alors que c'est quelque chose qui ne va pas nous faire découvrir le pays. Je ne savais pas qu'il y avait justement toutes ces explications, cette sensibilisation, en fait, à l'habitat naturel des tortues.
Around 39 nests are spread across the island. Protecting the nesting sites is becoming increasingly urgent as climate change has been globally reducing the number of beaches suitable for sea turtles to lay their eggs.
Well, that's it for this edition. I'd like to thank Georgi Yazbek for the camera work, Natasha Milre for producing the show, and you for watching it. Please do stay safe and stay tuned to France 24.
Haile Selassie, the last emperor of Ethiopia, considered as the Black Messiah by the Rastafari, who died in 1975, has left a deep impression on his country.
Les relations internationales et relations africaines sous la direction de l'empereur, c'était vraiment remarquable.
If the Negus was the inspiration behind the African Union, which since his reign has been based in Addis Ababa and which regularly pays homage to him, he has also left a darker legacy. Between his supporters and those who fear the return of an autocratic regime, Haile Selassie's legacy remains divisive. Don't miss the Negus Empire Revisited on France 24 and France24.com.